Well, thanks very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, and to be here with this enormous picture of Thomas More at the other end of the room. He was a man of great principle. We've been hearing about how he himself spent time looking after and inspiring young people in his day. He was a man who wrote about a society governed entirely by people being logical and reasonable, and where men and women enjoyed equal access to education. And this was over 500 years ago, and then it was seen as a revolutionary idea, and not much has changed since. He's also the patron saint of civil servants. So it's highly appropriate that we're here today, because fast forward 500 years and there is still work to do to stamp out disadvantage in society and make sure everybody has the same and equal and fair chances, and to open up access to the world of public service. So why are we here? The civil service is the engine of the government, if you like. Under the democratic direction of elected politicians like me, it's the civil service who actually drive forward improvements in this country and essentially run the country and make sure that can be done effectively. It's an amazing place to have a career. It's filled with interesting people, although you can be the judge of that later when you get the chance to talk. But it also is filled with incredibly important and exciting work. If you join the civil service, for example, you could end up as a diplomat in the Foreign Office. You could end up working on groundbreaking infrastructure projects like improving the tube, on aid in the developing world, on defence to keep our country safe, on health to protect our well-being. You could be working to make schools and universities work better to educate young people. You could be improving our justice system so that people are better rehabilitated when they leave prison. All these things are things that are done from the civil service. You can keep hearts beating one day and you could be at the beating heart of politics the next. You could be the next James Bond, you could be the next Kofi Annan, or if you're a Harry Potter fan, you could be the next Arthur Weasley. All of these are the sorts of jobs that are available. And I think that it is important that we in public service, who have a role in running the country, we understand and we talk about the mission that is involved in doing these jobs. But one of the things we need to do better is make sure we give everyone the chance to access this profession. And to do that, we need to hold up a mirror to ourselves and see what we need to do to improve. I want everybody in Britain to be able to achieve their potential. And I want the civil service to make the most of all of the talents that there are in Britain and to reflect modern Britain. There's already been a huge amount of progress on equality in terms of race and gender and sexual orientation. And the civil service is now more diverse than it ever has been, and it compares favourably to lots of private sector organisations. The proportions of people from ethnic minority backgrounds or declaring a disability, these are at historic highs. Women now make up 54% of the civil service, but the representation of all these groups at senior levels at the top is still far too low. So one of the first things I did when I got this job as Paymaster General was to commission a report into the diversity of our graduate fast stream. This fast stream is the group of people we recruit from university who go on to become a core part of the civil service. And we found that the most glaring inequality exists not within the legally protected characteristics that I was talking about, but actually when you look at social background. 1 in 3 people employed in Britain today are defined as working in working class occupations. But that compares to less than 1 in 10 applicants to the fast stream and less than 1 in 20 people who actually get through. This means that the civil service is less diverse than Oxford University, and it is our job to get out there and change it. So how do we fix it? Your gender, the colour of your skin, the postcode you were born in, all the other circumstances of your birth, these things should not dictate your chances in this life. And our job in the public sector is to make sure that we don't shut people out, but instead we reach out. It's not just the right thing to do, but it is that. It also makes good business sense to bring in as many people from different backgrounds with different ways of thinking. All the evidence shows that organisations work better when they have different people from different backgrounds bringing different perspectives. If you think of the big companies, publicly traded companies, those companies that have men-only boards, let's ask a question. Do you think, hands up, if you think that companies that have only men on their boards perform better or perform worse? Hands up everybody who thinks they perform better. Very sensible. And what about if you think that they perform worse? Well, you're all absolutely right, except those who didn't put your hand up, who are absolutely undecided. It's also true, the same is true in terms of ethnic diversity. Higher ethnic diversity is linked to increased earnings by companies. And this is especially important if you're facing the range of challenges that we do in the UK government. And this work is too important for everybody involved to be sat in an ivory tower. Instead, in government, we've got a duty to find the best people to serve the public. So we're setting up this schools outreach plan for civil servants that today's work is a part of. I want to encourage every civil servant to reach out, to devote an hour a year to visiting schools and inspiring future generations to work across government. And we're calling on every civil servant to take part in this programme that we're expanding across the organisation. And I want us to be blazing a trail for other employers to follow. Today, we're also publishing something called the 2016 Talent Action Plan. It sets out the progress we've made in the past year. It sets out the steps we're taking to tackle inequality and extend social mobility. We're going to reform the way that we select people, this fast stream that I talked about. We're going to reach out to more university campuses where we haven't been in the past. We're going to boost internship programs, and we're going to strengthen our mentoring schemes. But just because you choose not to go to university, that shouldn't mean that you can't serve your country also.